My first job, way before I came across any of this inside out understanding or even knew what coaching was in hospitality management. It was my first job out of education. And the pub that I was working in was a particularly picturesque. If you were to imagine a typical British countryside pub, you'd probably be imagining this black and white timber building, tucked behind a church which had its own graveyard in the middle of nowhere, even rumored to have its own ghost. And because it was an old nunnery part of it, it was supposed to have a tunnel that was led across to the church. So there was lots of history towards this. And a really beautiful place to work. And when I was invited to join the management team, because I'd worked there as a student, I thought, why not? Wasn't my plan, but yeah, I enjoy working there. And for a bit, the manager always insisted on coming and locking up with me. And at first I thought, oh, that's really supportive. And after several weeks of him always insisting on coming to look up for me, I began going in my head, oh, he doesn't trust me. You know, why have they invited me to join the team if they don't trust me to do something relatively simple as locking up? And I had huge stories in my head about this until after a while, I was let into the secret of what actually was going on, in the fact that the police had got a tip off that armed gang of robbers were potentially going to hit our pub at closing one night. So he was just being really protective because they had installed panic alarms, but only the manager and living chef knew where they were. So I went, oh, my head hadn't gone with that story. That wasn't right. So to cut that story short, we never actually got hit by that thing at that. So that was in the summer. So come the winter, when we had lovely log roaring fires again, I'd been permitted to start locking up on my own. And there was one night where I'd done everything. We'd all done all the evening stuff of setting out the tables ready for the next day, rearranging all the furniture because the combination of tables wouldn't have fitted otherwise. And the staff had gone. My colleague who was giving me a lift home was waiting for me outside in the car when I went to set the alarm, and then thought, did I check that fire was off? Oh, I better go and check the dining room. So went off into the dining room and froze because in the corner was this tall, shadowy figure. And my head immediately went to, oh my God, it's happening. The robbers have arrived. And at that moment, my colleague obviously had got cold in the car, turned the headlights on, which they were illuminating light through the window. And what was actually in the corner was the coat rack, which someone had left this long, tall coat on. So it wasn't what I'd imagined it to be. It just required light to be shone in from the distance. And I think we often do that in our own heads. There are stuff that we think, oh, I mustn't dig too much into that one because that's scary. And it can be very much a case of when we actually shine a light on it, it's non-existent. There'll be questions that we've got in our own heads that we don't think to question.